Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's lecture on climate change. Throughout this lecture, we will look at different aspects of climate change, and to deepen our understanding, we have invited 3 experts to share their insights, 2 general experts and 1 industry expert from the area of aviation. At the end of the session, we will also have time for some questions, so let's begin. Understanding climate change is a big topic, but as you probably all know, we are especially looking at long-term changes in temperature and weather patterns. These can be provoked through natural activities or human activities, but there are some special key drivers which I would like to highlight. For example, greenhouse gases, fossil fuel burning, or even deforestation as we know it in the Amazon. These can result in extreme weather events, global warming, melting ice caps, or also health risks. But I believe that our experts will be able to explain us some more things in detail. To start, Dr. Semeraro, can you please introduce yourself to the group?
Yes, of course. Thanks for this opportunity. Hi, everyone. I'm a scientist and I study climate change and its impact. Firstly, it is important to understand what is double materiality. Double materiality means that companies are impacted by climate change and at the same time they contribute to it. For instance, climate change can disrupt supply chains and damage infrastructure, which creates physical risks. At the same time, new regulations like carbon taxes impose transition risks. Companies must balance both their financial performance and their environmental responsibilities to address these risks.
Thank you very much. Can you maybe also explain how climate change affects different industries?
Yes, of course, climate change poses serious risks to industries like agriculture, energy, and insurance. For example, unpredictable weather patterns can disrupt agricultural production, while energy infrastructure is vulnerable to extreme weather. Industries are also facing higher operational costs due to damage and increased insurance premiums. Additionally, companies risk damaging their reputations if they don't address sustainability concerns.
Thank you very much for your insights, Dr. Semeraro. Now I would like to invite Mrs. Batza to introduce yourself.
Hello to everyone from my side. My name is Mrs. Batza and I have been working as a sustainability consultant for over 10 years, helping businesses develop strategies to reduce their environmental impact while maintaining business resilience. Yes.
Thank you for introducing yourself. Can you maybe tell us how companies can manage the challenges posed by climate change?
Absolutely. Managing climate change requires a two-pronged approach, mitigation and adaptation strategies. First, mitigation strategies focus on reducing the impact on the climate. For example, switching to renewable energy sources like solar, wind, or hydropower to reduce reliance on fossil fuels, or reducing the carbon footprint through energy efficiency measures like smart grids and LED lighting. And another one would be investing in carbon offsetting projects such as afforestation and carbon capture technologies, which actively remove carbon dioxide from the atmosphere.
Very interesting. So as we see, mitigation and adaptation strategies are very important in the topic of climate change. I have another question. How can companies measure their climate change initiatives?
Measurement and transparency are critical for ensuring that companies are held accountable for their climate commitments. And there are several established reporting frameworks that help businesses track and disclose their climate initiatives. For example, the Global Reporting Initiative and the Task Force on Climate-Related Financial Disclosures. These frameworks allow them to report on important metrics like carbon emissions, energy consumption, and water use. Finally, transparent reporting is crucial. Stakeholders, whether they are investors, regulators, or customers, demand clear, accountable metrics. This helps ensure companies are not just making promises, but are actually following through on their sustainability goals.
Very interesting. So let's remember transparency in this matter. Let's move on to our industry expert, Mr. Raphael Feder. Maybe, Raphael, you can introduce yourself as well.
Yeah, sure, I will do so. Thanks for the introduction, Maxine, and for being here. So my name is Raphael Feder and I'm a sustainable consultant in the aviation sector.
So, as you've said, you've worked in the aviation industry, and I believe, therefore, you have first-hand experience with its impact on climate change. So, maybe can you tell us more about the specific challenges that aviation faces?
Yeah, for sure. Aviation and in general, the whole industry is a significant contributor to our global emissions because of its reliance, on jet fuel. Especially long-haul flights are responsible for the large amounts, of CO2 emissions we face today. The industry has been slow to develop low carbon alternatives, such as electric planes or sustainable fuels, which makes it nowadays challenging to reduce these emissions. And when I was a pilot, I saw the massive environmental impact that air travel has, which motivates me today to be a sustainable consultant.
Thank you for that. As we listened to Ms. Batza before, we spoke about mitigation and adaptation, and this also reminds me of a question I have for you. What strategies is the aviation industry adopting to mitigate its impact on climate change?
Yeah, thanks for asking this. It's a bit more tough to answer this question, but I try to do it. So the industry is trying to improve the fuel efficiency by modernizing fleets and optimizing flight routes to reduce these consumptions. Some airlines are investing in fuels, especially in biofuels, though these are still expensive and yet widely not available. In terms of adaptation, airlines are adjusting routes to avoid these extreme weather patterns and considering new regulations like carbon taxes that are being imposed in many countries. It's still a long way to go, but the industry is beginning to take steps toward a more sustainable future.
That's at least good to hear that there are steps being taken. But if it's still a difficult way to go, maybe you can give us some examples of good and bad practices in the industry.
Yeah, I can do. In general, one positive example is Air France KLM, which has been investing heavily in sustainable fuels and offers to its customers carbon offset programs. On the other hand, we face Ryanair, which is really slow in responding on this aspect, despite being one of Europe's largest polluters. They have made minimal efforts to reduce these emissions or to be transparent about their impact on climate. And these examples, which are really contrasting, they show how some airlines are stepping up while others are lagging behind.
So we should all stop flying Ryanair. But thank you very much, Raphael. We'll now take some questions from our students. Who would like to go first?
I have a question for Dr. Semeraro. How can industries in regions vulnerable to extreme weather better prepare for climate impacts?
Okay, thank you for your question. I think that industries can prepare by investing in infrastructure that is resilient to extreme weather, such as flood defenses or more efficient water management systems. They should also diversify their supply chains to ensure business continuity if one region is affected by climate events.
Thank you.
Any further questions?
Yes. Mine is for Miss Fatser. You mentioned double materiality earlier. How can companies balance their profit goals with their responsibility to reduce climate change?
Really good question, thanks. Companies are realizing that long-term profitability depends on sustainable practices. And by reducing emissions and investing in clean technologies, they not only mitigate climate risk, but also open new markets. So sustainable business practices can become a really important competitive advantage.
Thank you.
And also, so Rafael, you mentioned the aviation industry struggle with low carbon alternatives. What do you think is the biggest challenge for airlines in this area?
Yeah, thanks for this question. I think the biggest or one of the biggest challenge is the slow development of these sustainable fuels and electric aircraft. Like I already talked about, the technology is still in really early stages, and scaling up to meet the demand of these large airlines is so expensive. However, there are ongoing efforts to improve this. And I believe the industry is maybe getting there.
Okay, I think that's it. Thank you very much. And thank you to our experts for their insights, also to our students for their questions. You can always come back to this presentation if you want to check something or go something into some more detail. It's clear that mitigation and adapting to climate change is not only an environmental imperative, but also a business necessity. And I think this will be my last words. Thank you for joining us today, and I hope you found this session enlightening.